Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amita, for calling me. Thank you, everyone at CII. And thank you for being here this morning. I'm actually surprised so many of people are here. I thought you have enough of me every night. I have enough of myself by the weekend. I'm not allowed to speak at home on the weekend. I'm not allowed to watch news. And the only entertainment I can provide is to watch my channel on mute. I can assure you, watch NewsHour on mute. It's very entertaining. Recently, we were at an event management function. It was about events and experience. I said, well, we provide you an event at 9 o'clock every night. It's a unique experience, but we also provide you the entertainment. So we are a holistic package, as it were. But thank you for coming here today. Now, I am going to keep it short because unless you put a time limit on me, and Amita said, how long? And you should never say this to me, Amita, you should never say to me that there is no time limit. Because if there is no time limit, your 20 minutes is the length of my average question. So, and I won't even give you a chance to reply. So in that sense, it's a dangerous thing. Anyway, self-inflicted injury by the CII this morning. I have a mental clock, and that clock, I have my sales head with me. The clock's only time it doesn't work is when the advertising breaks comes in, right, Harsh? I keep a mental clock for 20 minutes to you. I'm here before you today. Thank you for the opportunity to tell you a little bit about what I feel we have done in news, but more importantly than that, I am going to tell you what we are going to do in news. For me, the future is exciting. And I am an evangelist of this beautiful profession called journalism. It's a beautiful profession. The question is how you do it and what you do in this profession. When people question me, they question me on my form. They say, why do you speak so much? Why do you shout so much? I'm here to tell you today about my content and why I do what I do. So I'll divide this 20 minutes into two parts. First part, very briefly, I'll tell you about what we've done. Because we believe we have essentially been hugely disruptive in the news business. Close your eyes today in this room and ask yourself, how was the news done 10 years back? And how is the news being done now? You won't even recognize the news of today if you compare it to the news of 2004. In how many industries in this country are you in a position where you cannot recognize what the industry was like a dozen years back and what the industry is today? Apart from maybe telecom, right? I think news is one of the few areas where there has been a massive change. The rate of this change tells me the rate of change in the future is going to be greater. We disrupted the news industry in many ways, and I believe in breaking the status quo because, as Ronald Reagan said, and because we are close to the great American elections, it's good to quote this. He said, status quo, is Latin for the mess we are in. We were in a mess in the news industry in 2004, 2005. What was the news industry? We went through 40, 50, 60 years of covering inaugurations, speaking for the politicians, and whining about what's going wrong in this country. Then we spent about 4 or 5 years creating art forms like Sansani on television, where essentially a person who reported on crime excelled in looking like a criminal himself. And we said that's great and catchy television. Then the change happened. We happened. We launched our channel from a cotton mill compound in Lower Parel. And I can confidently tell you this, from that day, on January 31st, 2006, till this point today, news has never been the same again. The bottom line is we changed it all. And how did we change it? Quickly to tell you about how we disrupted this business. The first is 5 premises. The first premise is challenge everybody. Challenge everybody, including religion. Break the cardinal rule in India that nobody questions religion. Question everybody, including religion. Last afternoon, 286 days after we picked up the right to pray issue, I don't know if you followed it over the last few days. 286 days after we picked up the right to pray issue in the context of Sabrimala, the Haji Ali Dargah Trust allowed women the right to enter the sanctum sanctorum of the shrine as men something which had been denying since 2012. This marked the culmination of a relentless campaign that began in January 2016 on part of Hindu and Muslim women to enter the sanctum sanctorum of shrines like Sabrimala, Shani Shignapur and Haji Ali. This is a beautiful business. When you stick your neck out and you say, I disagree with you, I don't care for what you are, I don't care whether you're a Pandit or a Maulvi or a Maulana, I don't care whether you carry the sanctity of religion, whether you're a politician or anyone else, I just don't believe in the way you've done things. In 286 days, you have demolished an age-old, centuries-old, decades-old, whatever religion, tradition, whatever you call it, because you believe what is right and what is wrong. You are on the side of right. It is wrong to deny women access to the Haji Ali shrine. We questioned them and therefore we challenged it. We are therefore disruptive. Point number one, we disrupt everything, including religion. Point number two, take on powerful people. And when you take on powerful people, you regain the faith of the viewer. I left this city in 2004 worried about the state of my profession. When media in Delhi had got co-opted by the political class of this city. And I remember that I came back to this city on the 24th of January 2011 when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh was about to do a press conference, which in itself was breaking news because the Prime Minister never spoke then. But I remember sitting in that room and there were 15 editors. I was editor number 13, almost given my own set of personal bodyguards. And as I entered, I watched 12 editors before me not ask one question to the Prime Minister of India about the scams that had been reported for the last 6 months. 6 months before that, we broke a story called CWG, 2G, Devas ISRO, Kargil for Profit, Aircel Maxis. I hope you've not forgotten these names. We broke it, we stuck our neck out. When Arvind Kejriwal says anything about corruption, I tell him, where were you, Arvind, when we stuck our neck out on corruption? You were a marketing gimmick. That's what you were. You capitalized on our work. India against corruption was not there. There was no Anna, there was no Kiran Bedi, there was no Arvind. There was just a channel called Times Now reporting out of Mumbai, breaking every story out there. When I entered the room, not one editor in that room asked a question to the Prime Minister of India on the scams. One editor even asked the Prime Minister, कि प्रधानमंत्री जी आप Sachin Tendulkar को क्या कहना चाहते हैं? Because Sachin had scored a century the day before. And I sat there horrified. I told myself, Arnab, this is what you fled. This, they say, is the high table of journalism in India. These are the editors. These are the high priests. This is the reason why we disconnected from the audience. We broke away from that tradition of lopsided journalism. Point number three, we put people first. We disrupted this business by saying the only people who matter are the people. Nobody else matters. I believe in a different order of news that gives voice to the concerns of the people over everything else. And I believe that is the order of news that strikes a chord with the masses and gives them something that they can directly relate to. I have been lampooned by my own profession for doing a 4-day coverage of an event called The Ordeal of Prince. This happened in 2006. I've spoken about it on some occasions. 5-year-old boy, son of a landless laborer, falls into a deep borewell at 6:30 p.m. on July 21st, 2006. He falls through the borewell and he falls 60 feet below the ground. English channels refuse to cover the story. They say a Hindi channel wali story. We pick up the story for various reasons. And before you today, I shall share with you my own personal reason for covering the story. Because in July 2006, I had failed. I had launched the channel and it had failed. And there are people with me here in the room today. Partho is there, chairman of BARC. He knows the difficulty we faced when we failed. Nobody stands with you when you fail. And I asked myself deep within, why did you fail? I failed. I launched a channel which was laughed at. Not called Times Now. They used to say, Times when? Times never. The political class, they didn't like the fact that within 1 month of the launch of this channel, we were part of breaking the Office of Prophet story. We had broken big stories. We had challenged Naveen Chawla. We had challenged Naveen Chawla, who was close to Sonia Gandhi, the Congress establishment at that time. And in Delhi, people don't talk as openly as I do, but I talk anyway. These people didn't like us. They wanted us to fail. They realized that if this channel, if this group of journalists working out of Mumbai stands on its own feet, there will be a challenge to our establishment one day. So crush their spirit. And when we were crushed, when we were 7% ratings channel, we covered the story of Prince. Because when you lose it all, your life goes back to your own experience. And I remember in 1996, my news editor called Appan Menon, a wonderful person, I don't know how many in the room knew him. He brought me to this profession. Appan had asked me to go and report a story of a child falling into a borewell outside a school in South Delhi. And I told Appan, I won't cover the story. And Appan said, why? I said, Appan, I'm a university topper. I've been to Oxford. I want to cover big news. Appan said, what is big news? I said, I want to cover the finance ministry, Congress party, BJP, elections. I don't want to cover the story of a child falling into a borewell. Appan told me that one day in your life you will realize, Arnab, that borewell was supposed to be covered by someone from the government. The child falling into a borewell is a bigger story than the ones you're talking about. And that day, on July 21st, 2006, I went into my consciousness. I was atoning out of a sense of self-guilt. I realized what this profession was about. And I obsessively covered it. And I can't tell you what the emotions are, because I've been told, distance your emotion from the news. News is supposed to be objective. When you emote, you lose a sense of objectivity. I haven't heard greater rubbish in my life. How can you be unemotional when a 6-year-old boy, you don't know whether he's dead or alive, the whole country was praying for him. I remember there was no Twitter. We opened up the phone lines. But with the phone lines, we opened up our hearts. And everyone across the country started calling, praying for Prince. Every time his hand moved. And when eventually somebody brought the boy out from the borewell, and he was taken, wrapped up, and we did not know whether Prince was brought out dead or alive, our hearts were beating. And when we finally were told that Prince is alive, my entire newsroom started crying. 4 days we had done nothing else. Some of us had not gone home. We were just obsessing about Prince. The whole newsroom started crying. That is the core of this profession. It's nothing else. We captured it in one line when we launched this channel. We said, feel the news. Feel it in your heart. Strike a chord with the people. It will make a difference. The fourth point is simply, therefore, an extension of what I told you. You have a direct connect and you touch the hearts of people. We've done it many times. I won't go into the details. You know that we have changed the basic rule of journalism and said, if we believe in something, we are not hesitant to make a campaign out of it. We made a campaign of Nirbhaya. We made a campaign of India against corruption. And people asked me, were you part of a political effort against the Congress government? Did you take it personally when you broke the scams, so personally that you became part of a political movement on India against corruption? No, we were not. We sat down in a room, and I remember I discussed as clearly as this. I said I disagree with the views of some of the people like Prashant Bhushan, who are part of India against corruption, but I disagree with him on his position on Kashmir. But the issue of corruption is greater. We fought on the issue of corruption. We made a campaign of it. Because you know what? In this country, I grew up seeing the biggest stories on page 17, single column. I saw the biggest stories relegated to a 1-minute news reporter between 9:17 and 9:18. I saw anchors who spoke too politely. I saw reporters afraid of asking questions directly. And I saw in all of this that when you don't shout in this country, nobody listens. I believe me, you try saving the life of Prince by putting it as 1-minute story or a page 17 single column news report. Prince would not have lived. The members of parliament would not have gone. The army chiefs would not have been there. He would not have been brought out alive. In this country, you have to connect very strongly to the viewers and amplify your voice. And finally, this is my past of how we've disrupted. I have taken the cardinal rule of journalism and thrown it into the dustbin. And that cardinal rule is never express your opinion. Report only the facts. Facts are sacred, but opinion is supreme. Those people who believe that they should not express opinion are lying to you. They have opinion. They are only disguising it. They have opinion. They are only camouflaging it. The difference is I don't camouflage my opinion. So much so that when in January, in JNU, I find someone saying, Burhan wali azadi, I am upset with it. I am not going to be politically correct about it. This profession that I am in for 1 month went after me because I questioned those people who said Burhan wali azadi. I wish they would have the heart 6 months later to reevaluate their own positions in another context. Bottom line is this. Television debates are not meant to be a Wikipedia-like functioning of doling out facts and information to the viewer alone. Accessibility of information in today's day and age is free and simple. And therefore consider that if television news is meant to be a change agent, it is imperative that it arrives at an opinion based on the facts at its disposal. Opinion is therefore sacred because having an opinion and not hesitating to air it, however uncomfortable it may be to those at its receiving end, is a reflection of the power of this great democracy of ours. I therefore am a great believer in opinion. Opinion that is not motivated, but opinion that comes from the core of our hearts. Because everywhere we have our opinions and we have a right to express it. I have a fundamental rule, everybody can express their views on my show and on our channel, but I reserve to have the right to my own opinion as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I believe the game has just begun. And I will now tell you about the future of journalism in this country. And I will tell you facts. And as I tell you this today, I assure you, Amitabh, call me back 3 years from now to this forum, or maybe 4. And you will see that everything I'm about to tell you is about to happen in the next 3 or 4 years. I hope there are some young journalists in this room. And if there are some today, I want you to hear me. And I just want to say this, disagree with me, disagree with my views. There's no problem on it. You don't have to agree with me. But I want to present a view of what is about to happen. So, our disruption has happened over the last decade. The future of our disruption, which is going to happen over the next 3 years, is going to be 6 or 7-fold. First, and don't misunderstand this, please, we will disrupt by taking news away from the city we are in. New Delhi will not be the center of news. This is a cold fact, and believe me, we are doing it even today. We control 80% viewership. The channels in Delhi have 20%. It's not about a geography. It's not about a mindset. Don't get me wrong, this is not my fundamental premise against Lutyens Delhi. But let me tell you this, for far too long, Indian television has lived in boxes. Boxes, I believe, that have been piled up as a sort of cushions for New Delhi to comfort the news industry of India. I have personally spent the last decade working out of a small newsroom in Lower Parel in Mumbai. And I'll tell you this, what have I learned? I have learned that being away from the national capital has allowed us the freedom to not only disrupt the system at will fearlessly, but also redefine the geography and horizons of the news viewer. So we will disrupt the news once again by taking the focus to places like Odisha, where 21 people in the ICU and dialysis ward of a hospital were killed, and it was a fleeting mention. We covered it for 3 days on our channel. We will disrupt the news once again by taking the focus to places like Bihar, where it has become an annual tradition for elected representatives of the people of an impoverished state to be grabbing goodies funded by the taxpayer. Remember, viewers, just look at last week and ask yourself fundamental fact, how many channels operating out of Delhi covered the story of Rocky Yadav? Rocky Yadav is the son of a politician, killed Aditya, 18-year-old boy, at gunpoint from the back of his car because he overtook his car. For some reason, this story didn't shake the hearts here. Is it because people felt that if you question Rocky Yadav, you'll be questioning a certain part of the establishment that you don't want to question at this point of time that is ruling in Bihar? Then you are a player, you're not a journalist. So, point number one, we will disrupt the news industry by taking news away from the national capital. Secondly, we will disrupt the news industry, and this is going to happen by creating a new center of news. We will ensure that despite the sheer volume and numbers, the national capital of India does not remain the news center for Indian journalism, because India needs to be defined beyond New Delhi, and the change makers, despite, also need to start growing out of the national capital. 17 major news channels of India serving the country are based in Delhi. I will not take names. Ask yourself the extent to which they have served the democracy of this country. There are 16 major newspapers which capture about 80% of the market based out of Delhi. Ask yourself whether they've really made the change. And if they haven't, let's ask ourselves the serious and tough question about it. The third way we will disrupt the news industry is we will end the interdependency between news and politicians. I dream of an independent media, where the interdependencies between the politician and the media are reduced as much as possible. For far too long, and I don't know why we have allowed this. For far too long, the news in this country has been using the political class as its crutch or shoulder to lean on. For far too long, the system of news has seen itself as free only to cave in and work on compromise formulas from time to time, thereby only embarrassing itself and humiliating the tenets of journalism in India's 70th year of independence. I dream of a different system. I dream of an independent media which has the maturity to regulate itself and the fearlessness to be answerable to nobody but to itself. Point one. Point two, I truly dream of an independent media where the power of independence, of its responsibility and its answerability does not go beyond itself, where even if it means that we limp on one leg, don't use that crutch. I would rather limp on one leg for the rest of my life as a journalist than use politicians as my crutch. And I have proven it time and again. The fourth way we will disrupt the news industry is to prove that money means nothing. Viewers know that this channel which we run is not run on the power of money. In the future, money will be an enabler. Money will not be the difference between winning and losing. And I can expand this to you. Money does not buy you connection with the viewer. Money does not buy you eyeballs. Money cannot buy you a ticket to be an agent of change. The courage of disruption and your own brand of journalism can make that change. But we live in India today where news is not consumed on television solely anymore. News is not consumed, and increasingly in the future will be less consumed through your morning newspaper. In fact, your morning newspaper and your television set before bed become only the first agent of what the news has become. Consider this to understand. We are the second biggest community of smartphone users with 220 million users. The number of tablet users in India is 18.7 million. We have 462 million internet users. Our 3G and 4G users are 120 million. In only 24 months, we've increased that much. And Twitter has 313 million users in India, and the CEO of Twitter who met me 6 months back told me that they haven't even reached 1/3 of their potential. What does this mean for me as a journalist? It means that today is a glorious age where only content is king. I can't buy my way to your heart. I can't win by building distribution monopolies. I cannot win by paying more money and going on prime frequency and beating the hell out of someone who cannot afford the money, as happened in the past and was on a UHF or S band. In today's digitized age, everybody is on an equal platform. And we will be too. We will be too. Once we are on that platform, it is for you to choose, which means nothing can keep me away from it. The future of journalism is going to go through quantum change when journalists like me begin to realize that nothing can stand between me and you. My relationship is with you. You may hate me, disagree with me. You have a right to confront me, question me. Throw stones in me, boycott me. But nothing can make sure that I don't reach you. Nothing. Certainly not money. That's a beautiful moment in our industry, when money ceases to matter and content is king. Therefore, the fifth reason we will disrupt in this beautiful world which we are about to enter is that people will find good content. I believe that with avenues and seamless access to information that we have in our times when news is available and literally breaking on our fingertips at 140 characters on Twitter, content becomes supreme because it is more easy than before for people to just search and find you. Money, what can money do? Money can buy you infrastructure, but money cannot replace or buy good content, especially in the cluttered news space that we are in the midst of right now. People ask me, what about these big corporate groups? So much money they have. Media is going to be bottom up. Absolutely not. How can you? You spend all the money in the world. Will you know how to do a story? You invest thousands of crores. I challenge anyone. Come invest thousands of crores. But between me and my viewer, there is one camera and my viewer is on the other side. Prove to me that your thousands of crores will find a greater connect between you and the viewer. It will rather be an impediment. It will not be an enabler. And the last part, which I want to share with you, because we are on the edge of a massive independent media revolution. Things are about to change, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope I meet you 6 months from now and you realize what I'm talking about. Sometimes before the storm, it appears a sense of tremendous calm. In my industry today, there is boredom. More of the same. But believe me, this is a mirage. Things are going to change in the way people will not recognize again. Believe me, what will happen in this country if a group of content creators takes the power of media into its hands and says, we know how to do journalism, and we owe it to nobody and nowhere to find a connect with our viewers. That's when journalists and content creators will become independent. The churn has started. People are thinking the revolution is about to come. Indian media in the next 3 or 4 years, and I said this to the Financial Times of London a year back, is going to go global in the next 3 or 4 years. Just 3 to 4 years from now, we will launch from this country on our soil, from Lower Parel or Lutyens Delhi, or Bangalore or Guwahati or Kolkata. We are going to launch the big challenge to global media, whichever the form. I don't find BBC or CNN to be sacred cows of journalism. I don't believe we have anything to learn from Al Jazeera. I have in our channel, when we launched an tie-up with Reuters and trained 20 to 25 people of the finest people who came from print, we trained them in television, and today they control newsrooms worldwide. If we can train professionals from UK and America in India on how to become television journalists, find me a justifiable reason why the time should not come when we should be doing it ourselves. I'll tell you a small story. I have a reporter called Niranjan Swami. We sent him to cover Modi's visit when he went to London. And he called me one day and he said, the Paris attacks. I want to go to Paris. I said, please go. He landed in Paris. The next day after that, he says, I need to speak to you urgently. I said, what's happening? He said, I'm in Brussels. I said, what are you doing in Brussels? He says that the terrorists have been found in the locality. And he says, what are you doing? He says, I've been reporting live. Switch on the TV. I said, but how are you reporting? You don't have anything with you. Camera, logistics, nothing. He says, boss, you need nothing today. I've got a selfie stick. And I've been reporting live on my selfie stick for the last 1 hour. And I said, but how did you get that? He said, I'm so excited. I said, where is BBC and CNN? He said, boss, they haven't even woken up. And believe me, an Indian reporter in Brussels reached the site 3 to 4 hours before operations that spent $2 billion. Now, if one reporter can do that, it's the power of an idea. And I'm sharing with you the greatest power of an idea, and I'm asking you this, will you not be proud when one day from our soil we will actually be a soft power doing news, not just for India, but for the world? What comes between us and that? Not ambition, just the thought. We will be disrupting it in the next 3 or 4 years. And Amita, I've said I'll come back to you and prove you right. Or rather prove myself right. We are ready to go global, and I give it 3 or 4 years. Now we are speaking at a time when advocacy groups in the US are urging US regulators to consider blocking AT&T's purchase of Time Warner. Now I have a different idea. I dream of a media that has the power and the independence, but most importantly, the worth. Time Warner should have bought AT&T and not the other way around. It's a beautiful collaboration between distribution and content. If there are business heads in the room, they'll understand that even content carries risk. I dream of a media in which it is a Time Warner buying an AT&T and not the other way around. Ladies and gentlemen, we've shaken up the Indian system quite successfully to redefine Indian news. I began by telling you that things have changed in the way news was done 10 years back. Just to say at the very end, monopolies will fall when news changes and when the revolution comes. Like old monopolies fell in the past, all monopolies will fall once again. New ones will come. And the new ones will be the guys who believe and show the world that content will be ruled by content, made by content, driven by citizen-focused, impact-driven news in a digital ecosystem powered by television that is answerable and responsible to itself. I have come before you today to seek your support for it. And I know many of you may watch me, many of you may disagree. I know that many of you in the room would say, we never agreed with what you said on TV. That's fine. Leave that aside. We are never homogeneous. We are not meant to be a homogeneous society. A society that is homogeneous is a boring society. We believe in dialectics, disagree. That's what our democracy is about. I have come to request you for your support in this dream. Because I have this dream. I prophesied the dream will happen. There are people who believe in the dream. There are some among us in the media industry who are perennially restless. Out of our restlessness comes our urge for change. We change a few things, we fail, we cannot. In the dream for independent media, if you believe in some form, independent media needs to come forth in this country. 5 things. I'll give you 5 reasons why you should support it. Because it is time for independent media to come in this country. Secondly, because the power of distribution makes money less important and content more important. Third, because we have the power to change. We have changed. We've stuck our neck out. We've proven to you. We've done big stories. We've challenged the power. When we broke stories like Commonwealth Games in the UPA regime or the Lalit Gate issue in the NDA regime, people have asked us, are you doing this for ratings? You don't break CWG, 2G, or Lalit Gate for ratings. You do it because you believe in a fundamental difference between right and wrong. So the third reason you should support me is that. The fourth reason is because I believe in a world where monopolies should never exist. Monopolies by nature are bad. We should democratize our business. And fifth reason, because this is my investment to young journalists in this country. I've done pretty much what I had to. Now, ladies and gentlemen, those who want to put up with me will put up with me at 9 o'clock for the longest time, and I'll be grateful for that. but I want to create a different form of journalism in this country. And Amita, I'm grateful to you for giving me the opportunity to speak to your esteemed audience and share this dream with you today. Thank you very much.
Mr. Goswami, ladies and gentlemen, over to our moderator, Amita Sarkar, Deputy Director General, CIM.
So excellent, and I think your passion really touches us, and we love you for that. We may agree, disagree, but your passion really, really touches us. Before I open it to the audience, one question from my side. We all know that media, and it's such a strong pillar for our democracy, is how independent, say on a scale of 10, how independent is Indian media today? What are the pressures you get in your newsroom?
The only pressure I feel is from my reporters, from my journalists, from my desk. When we choose stories, in deciding what we run, in accommodating the stories of the day, in finding time and in pushing reporters. That's the only pressure I face. Surprisingly enough, the pressure that people speak about all the time, which is political pressure, bureaucratic pressure, stakeholder pressure, advertising pressure. Now, either everybody likes me or everybody hates me, but nobody calls me. So I'm fine with that. The pressure I feel is how to accommodate so many stories and this classical dispute on what to play. Like last night, I felt I made a mistake. I spent time talking about the Uttar Pradesh family saga where I felt I should have started with the right to pray movement, which had greater social security. That's the most pressure that I feel, Amita, most honestly. Yeah.
Okay, now before I open to the audience, just one more. So, what do you drink? Do you have a Bonvita or a Complan? Where do you get all that energy from? What's the secret of that?
Yeah. Warm water, honey, 2 elaichis, 1 long. Right? You know the mix, right? We call it hot toddy. We have hot toddy, not the alcoholic toddy, guys, because it's the non-alcoholic toddy which we good.
Okay, so now we do open to our audiences. Please raise your hands and please make it a question rather than a very longish statement.
Those are only for me. Those are only for me.
Okay. So introduce yourself. You know Arnab can't hear down.
I'll keep it short. My name is Karan.
Hi, Karan.
What do you mean by an
Can you
independent?
introduce yourself?
My name is Karan Bedi. I work with Eros Now, which is an OTT entertainment platform. So my question to you is, what do you define as an independent media? You know, today you're part of a large media conglomerate. Other news channels may either be part of conglomerates or independent businesses that have shareholders and so on. So what do you mean by independent?
Independent, Karan, is basically where you are responsible to the story. You know, where running a story is based upon the worth of the story. So you're not going to worry about who's going to upset. If the story is worth it, then you run it. It's as simple as that. It's not complicated really. So independent, there will always be shareholders and there will be people. But if you follow up on what I later said, I said I believe that independent media should also be content run, content managed. You know, it's great if that happens. So I think it's a derivative of your viewership, how many people watch you. So it's fine. I mean, I really don't know the clear answer to what is independent media. For me, the independent media is where the story rules. And the story is king. By story, I mean news event and coverage. Yeah.
Hi Arnab, my name is Noor, right, very short. Hi, awesome everything you said. Loved your point, Time Warner should have bought AT&T. Even in new media, we've seen Verizon buy out AOL and Yahoo. I want to understand that what is going to happen between now to the next 3 years when you see money becoming an enabler versus the difference between success and failure.
Yeah.
Because you know what's happening with Twitter too. They're literally in a bad position because they don't have a business model, but they're all about the content. So what's going to change?
No, I'm not questioning a business model. All media need business models to survive. When I say money is an enabler, simple thought is this, that my experience, and we can have a offside conversation. My experience is nobody can pay a lot of money and win the media. See, the greatest concern that is discussion that is going on in Indian media today, people with deep pockets are coming in and buying out media. You can't do that. Historically, it's been proven. Otherwise, it would be like, anybody could just put up a fact. Media is not that. Media is, as Karan asked rightly, it's about the independence that comes from your soul. So, well, I mean, money being an enabler, I mean that, let's put it simply, you have 10 rupees or you have 100 rupees, won't make a difference. If the basic minimum is 10 rupees, you can still beat the 100 rupee guy. You understand what I mean? That's it. That's as simple as I believe in it. I believe in it. And my support is for the startups. My support are for those journalists who are trying to do it without money. I have a lot of friends in the digital ecosystem, many of whom criticize me all the time, but I support them because what they're trying to do is different and it's unique. We have associations with people, with groups, with small websites. I support them, I evangelize them. I go out there and I speak for them because we need those people. They are part of the big banyan tree. So I want to build that banyan tree, which is an ecosystem for all independent journalists in some way. And I believe, Noor, you are a watcher of media trends. This is when it's going to happen. Because the millennial generation has woken up now. These are the guys who have never, in their entire life, from their waking up years, never seen the country without a cell phone. You and I saw cell phones in our working years. That millennial generation are becoming revenue earners and wage earners now. And they're the people who will matter. That millennial generation believes in the digital ecosystem. So I support the digital ecosystem. And it's part of creating an independent media where money ceases to matter, where content is good.
Hi, Arnab. My name is Sarthak Bhagat. I represent the Odisha Television Network. You recently mentioned some hospital and the stories that you covered. And my question is, how can regional media and regional news channels play a bigger role in getting the thought of independent media together and getting this one?
You're from OTB?
That's right.
Yeah, so I'll give a clear example. We worked with OTB in the coverage of the SVM hospital crisis. When I begin to feel that you are not my competitor, Sarthak, you are here, we are here to partner together. And if I work together with people like you, we can cover the news better. We just need to be less mindful, less watch over our shoulders. I'm willing to partner with anyone who supports good journalism or independent journalism. It doesn't mean that the person has to agree with my views on issues. But if you believe that you are a group of journalists doing something good, we should collaborate because our collective strength is stronger than the power of money, Sarthak. Our collective strength as journalists. What happens problematically is that we let ideological differences between journalists divide journalists. We begin to believe this person leans towards BJP anti-Congress and we begin to divide each other on the basis of our ideologies. Why should journalists have one point of view on JNU? They may not. Why do we expect all journalists to have the same point of view? They may not. But can they work together, collaborate together? They should, they must. It is their responsibility to their society. We need to work together. Otherwise, it's only money that's going to matter. Money is an enabler, Sarthak. Journalists are stronger than that. So we should collaborate. Imagine regional channels, digital ecosystem. We already have something good. We'll talk, but this is going to happen in the next 3-4 years.
Hi, Arnab. My name is Latika.
Hello.
Hi. Just like you said, that media has power, but there's a saying, with great power comes great responsibility. Superman said that. So, my point is, you have the power, but who is the one responsible? Who is making sure that you are doing your work responsibly? Money is an enabler. It's not an obstacle anymore for you. But who is the one guiding you? Who is the one keeping an eye that everything that goes out in the country is right?
Well, I think it's the audience of it. Because, in our business, I mean, I don't want to give specific examples. If you lose your credibility, you lose everything. And there are enough instances of journalists who have stumbled. Right? So I think it's most important to guard your own credibility. And therefore the viewer is very unforgiving also. The moment the viewer begins to realize that what you're saying is horrible, he's going to reject you. He or she is going to reject you. So I think the regulator, I keep saying we don't need a government regulator. I told this to Ambika Soni when we had a fairly sort of strong conversation after the scam. I said, we don't need you, man. And they said, no, you need statutory regulation. We are actually empowering you. I said, you don't need statutory regulation. It's like a bitter pill I don't need to swallow. I'll regulate myself. Okay, I'm bad, I'm ill-mannered. I'm not always good, and I'm indisciplined, but I'm still better at regulating myself than somebody sitting in the government. So I think my regulator is the view. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last two, Arnab has
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's a-
Yes. Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Maria Jimmy. I'm from South Sudan, Africa continent. I'm also one journalist. I'm a crime reporter or human rights reporter. I'm being happy for what you have said, but I have very simple questions to you. As you know, the media is an orphan.
Is it?
An orphan.
Okay.
It has no parent. And you know, most of the issues we put to the politicians who are main children. In that situation, based on your experience, what can you advise your fellow, as you said, you can send the world. What can you advise your fellow journalists, like in my country, South Sudan, or in Africa, on reporting crime issues?
That's a very specific question. Thank you for your question. You know, I don't have knowledge in detail, sir, of your country, so it won't be appropriate for me to answer. But I'll just say one thing with you. Last year I said this in Moscow. There was a conference at Russia Today. And I said then that one thing where we can collaborate on, especially Africa and Asia, because I'm talking about creating a global news ecosystem out of India, is to challenge the hegemony that has existed for far too long of the BBC and the CNN and Western media outlets in covering the world. They've sort of a greater share of voice in representing the views of the world. We need to work together to restore the balance of power. So just like I told Sarthak out there, that regional channel journalists and me, we can all work together, despite the language we are reporting in, to create a stronger network of collaboration. We can create a network of collaboration between countries that are underrepresented by the hegemonistic media powers in the US and the UK. So what we can work towards is changing that balance of power in the world. Because, you know, it's so unfair that these are the same organizations that allowed the Iraq war to happen, saying that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction. But they have no proof of that. And they are the ones who teach us what neutrality, objectivity, and good norms of journalism are. I'm completely shocked. CNN was a handmaiden at that point of time for the American establishment. I think our media is far more objective. So we should find ways to collaborate, sir, on that. Maybe it will happen sooner than we think, sir. It's a thought we left with you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. May I take the turn now?
Sir.
Well, I am Anil Verma from Chairman Anand Group of Industries. I appreciate your spellbound speech. It was really fantastic. But one thing I would sum up your speech is, it was all idealism about journalism. How many of you, or how many you yourself, have visited border to report first-hand information? It's all fabricated, hard news. How many of you have had first-hand information by reporting happenings at border?
Sir, thank you for your question. Can I ask you, if you've never flown a plane, you can't report a hijack? That's my answer, please. I've not worn a uniform or been at the border. So I'm an army officer's son. I have no pretensions. But that's not something I need to do every day. If you want me to shift my studio to the border, it will be a logistical matter. But with the greatest of respect, sir, don't doubt what we do. Don't doubt what we do. Because there's nothing much we gain, materially or personally, by putting things. We do it because we do it. So if you're questioning our position on Pakistan, for example, or Kashmir, sir, it comes from my core. Because we also have made mistakes. And I have seen tragedies and known people. I have very strong association with the defense. So maybe it comes from this. I don't disagree with someone who has other point of view, but my point of view is completely prejudiced and biased towards my own country. I'm happy to say. And if people say, that's why I say I'm not a Wikipedia of journalists. There are some great journalists in our country. I'm sorry I'm not as great as them. Let's say remain objective between India and Pakistan. You know, sir, what I call them? I call them fence sitters. I'm not going to be a fence sitter when it comes to national issues. And if that is their vision of objectivity, I reject that definition of objectivity. But I don't have any motivations in doing what I do. Believe me, that's the most I can say. I hope you believe me, that's all.
Okay, one last one, Vidya. Vidya, sir. Okay, Vidya.
Huh? Of my getting sacked? It won't matter at all, sir. I'm a free man. According to news reports, I should have walked in here with 30 security guards. Did you see any? So, it's a load of rubbish that was printed last week. Sir, the thought of getting sacked never matters to me. Because I am not attached to anything. And today I don't need anybody and anything to reach the audience. So if I live in the mortal fear that I will get sacked, then I will not be able to do my job. I will only be sacked if ever at all by my audience, the people. I cannot be sacked by anyone else. That is something I'll tell you from my course. I don't care, sir. These are issues which don't worry me. They don't worry me at all.
Let me be partial towards girls. Is there anybody? Is there a girl? Okay, please, this is the last one, or maybe last two. You're not a girl, but never mind. We'll take it, please. So I know before they, yeah, okay, I'll come back. Yeah, please introduce yourself.
I'm Arnab Goswami from Indian Institute of Mass Communication. Arnab, you're saying that for me, country is first, nation is first, and I'm biased towards my nation or country. As far as I know, in journalism, truth is first obligation for any journalist. And if CNN or BBC or any global news organization is also biased towards their country, and you are criticizing them, because they were supporting American invasion to Iraq, why same thing is not applying to you? If country is wrong on certain issues, it is the job of journalists also to challenge that here my country is wrong. If America is wrong in Vietnam, journalists or newspapers in America must challenge it. And you know, many citizens, newspaper journalists, they challenge America. And because of that, America has to withdraw its forces. So in certain cases, yes, as a journalist, we must stand for truth. That is what I wanted to say.
Anand, I don't know what you're talking about, but drone attacks kill thousands every day in Pakistan. I don't think the Americans have gone back, so your facts are wrong on that. Weapons of mass destruction till now have not been found. And nobody's sort of taken it up as an institutional campaign beyond corrective mechanisms in their own organizations. So on that also you are wrong. As far as your view, saying that you should not be biased towards your own country, I respect you. You have a right to be sort of objective between India and Pakistan. I believe my country is a victim of terrorism that originates from Pakistan. It's as simple as that. I'm not going to complicate that fact by arguing for the fact that terror groups in Pakistan are also targeting people in their own countries. It's unfortunate that they do. So when Peshawar happens, we condemn it. But I'm going to remain slightly more focused on the problems in our own country. As far as your definition of journalism is concerned, Anand, I challenge it and I reject it. Because I will ask you one question in turn. In a question where facts are all there, right? Right and wrong, black and white. Should I remain a fence sitter? By the same logic out there, remember, Anand, that even today, some cases related to Nirbhaya have been going on till a few weeks back and a few months back. And people have interviewed the rapist and allowed him an opportunity to give his point of view saying he's innocent. And such documentaries have been aired on BBC. I don't believe in objectivity that says I should be objective between the pain of a rape victim and the defense of a rapist. That same logic. If there is right and wrong, black and white, facts stare you in the face, Anand. People were killed in Uri, Anand. Don't forget that. And don't reject the Pakistani hand in it. And don't tell me that Asia Andrabi did not call Hafiz Shaikh, she called him. And don't tell me Hawala money has not been tracked to the Hurriyat guys, it has. So don't tell me to be objective to these people. Because when you're objective for far too long, it begins to hurt your own interests. And so on the issue of terrorism, I disagree with you. I would request you, Anand, go back into the facts of how some Western media organizations have reported on cases like Iraq and Afghanistan. It will open up your eyes that the same people who lecture us are sometimes the most flawed in their implementation of journalistic ethics. But I respect your right to have your opinion. Remember, I will always caveat this by saying, you are welcome to my debate. But I won't treat you with kid gloves on. And then you're welcome to my debate. Okay, thank you.
I think we need to close this now before coming to the next section. Just one very last one from my side. Is there any interview which you conducted and it left you having to change your view? Because you normally have strong views of things. Something which happened and you actually ended up changing your view.
On the 17th, I think, of January 2014, I interviewed Rahul Gandhi.
Need you say more?
It changed my view.
Okay. Let's end at that. We can keep guessing the views.
Thank you
so much.
Thank
All
you.
the very best in your endeavor
Thank you
for
very much.
making India hopefully as a hub for global news. But yes, we will not wait 3 to 4 years.
I would only say that whenever the change happens, you must all come out and support good journalism in this country. Like I said to Anand out there, I disagree with him greatly, but I greatly defend and respect his right to stand up and question. So this is what makes our democracy great. I hope we have your support for the journalism that we do. We don't need to agree with anything. But let's make this country a global media superpower in the next 3 to 4 years. The time has come and it's easier than you think. So thank you very much for that. Thank you.
Thank you.